Good morning. Good morning. My name is Reverend Ron Card, and this is the Sunday morning message. And it is sponsored by the Centers for Spiritual Living, Carlsbad. Now, during the month of January, every January, what Science of Mind centers do all across the country, actually, even around the world. And what they do is they talk about the first four chapters of the Science of Mind textbook. And the reason why they talk about the first four chapters is because if you want to grasp what this teaching, science of mind or religious science or whatever you choose to call it, is all about, you will find it all in the first four chapters of this book. Now you can listen to the talks each week because we're going to talk about the four chapters. We're going to talk about the four chapters in different weeks, or you can actually grab a Science of Mind textbook and read the first four chapters in the Science of Mind textbook. Now, the chapters are the first chapter or the first week, it'd be the thing itself. And then we have the way that it works, and then what it does, and how to use it. Now, last week, Reverend Kate, she talked about the thing itself. And this week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the way it works. So, how does it work? And what am I talking about when I say the way it works? The way what works? You know, in the last paragraph in the Science of Mind textbook on page 34, it says that the mind, my mind, your mind, we discovered that it is within us. It is the mind that governs everything. This is the thing itself. You know, we recognize this thing itself as being mind or intelligence or spirit or energy. You know, we acknowledge that there is a power greater than we are that we can use, and we call it spirit, we call it God, we call it intelligence, we call it energy, we call it whatever you choose to call it. You know, did you ever notice that if you find something difficult to grasp, then we never really actually grasp it? And it's because we are always think of it as incomprehensible. So to simplify things a little bit, God and I are one. And that is the same with each of you. This is the thing itself. That's what Kate talked about last week. And we were not only made in the image and in the likeness of God, but each one of us is an expression of God. We are an extension of God. As we move through life unfolds through us, not at us, but through us. And as it unfolds through us, this is God manifesting into more of itself. You know, the life we live is God or spirit unfolding into more of itself. So when I talk about the thing itself, we are talking about not only spirit or God or intelligence or essence or energy, but we are also talking about ourselves. We are talking about that power that is within each one of us. We are one. We are one with this power. This power is always there, whether we choose to recognize it and use it or not, and just completely ignore it. But it is always there. You know, now if we know that this thing is and where this thing is, what we need to know is the way that it works. And that's what I'm going to be talking about this week. You know, I feel it's very important to know the way things work. You know, when we do something new, what do? We learn the way it works. So this way here, we can be successful at it and we can use it to its fullest. Because if we don't know the way it works, there's probably going to be things we're not even going to try or do or see. So that's why it's so important to know the way that it works. But this morning, what I want to talk about is I want to talk about an important aspect also of the way it works. You know, I want to talk about how to embrace the now. because right now is the only time it can work. Spirit has already worked through us in the past, and spirit will continue to work through us in the future. But the way that we stay connected to spirit is by being in the now. The now will set up what is to come in the future. But you have to be very careful because this is the way it works. Sometimes in life, what we do is we have a tendency to ask ourselves, why is this happening to me? Well, if you could backtrack a little bit, you'd find the answer because we are always setting up our future. We are setting it up right here and right now because that's the only time you can change anything, anytime you can do anything is right here and right now. Think about that a little bit. Let me ask you a question. Does life seem to be passing you by? No matter what you do, you just can't get on track. You see yourself just kind of falling off track a little bit. And when you wake up in the morning, you just cringe at what the day will bring. Well, there is good news. There is a way to get back into the flow of life and experience more joy in your life and experience more wonder in your daily life. Start today by embracing the now. It's so important to stay in the now because when we get up and we constantly think what we did wrong yesterday or what we said to somebody a week ago, there's no way you can change that. You might be able to change it in your mind, in a picture in your mind, but you can't change it because it's already happened. That's why it's always good to focus on the now because in the now is the only time that you can change things. In talking about the thing itself and the way it works, the one way that you allow spirit, this power that we actually have within us, is by being in the now, by being present. This is when you feel that essence. This is when answers come to you. You have to be in the present. And when you are thinking about the past, you dwell in a place that, like I mentioned earlier, you cannot change because it's already happened. You keep propelling yourself in life backwards instead of continually moving forward. And the one thing that I found too is when I dwell in the past, what I do is I catch those feelings of, I wish I could have done something different. I shouldn't have said that. This should never have happened. And what happens is I find that it ends up in the future coming into through my experiences that I'm having in life. So you really want to be careful. And that's one of the reasons why you really need to stay in the present. One of the things I like about this teaching, Science of Mind, is that applying the spiritual tools and the principles that I have come to learn and apply them in every area of my life on a consistent basis. They have worked for me. They have helped me get through tough times, times where there's been so much uncertainty, times where, like, I'd like to change something. You can't change that, but you can change everything moving forward. And by using these tools, they're, try them out yourself. See if they work for you. I use a tool such as meditation. I use meditation several times a day, especially in the morning when I get up. My mind's fresh. It allows me to become quiet and just listen. Sometimes we do too much talking, and what we need to do in order to learn and to form our direction is to just listen. I listen for guidance to that small voice within. It allows me to see what spirit has in mind. Don't forget, I am spirit and I are one. And so I want to see and hear what spirit has in mind. Remember, we are connected. And then I do spiritual mind treatment. It is also called affirmative prayer. Prayer aligns you up with your truth, and you can do, be, or have whatever it is you want, but you need to allow the process of prayer to work. We can think of all sorts of reasons why we can't do something or we can't have something. And that just pushes us further back where we can't have it. It puts a block up. But with spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer, what you're doing is you're aligning it. You're seeing it as a possibility in your life. And that's all you need to do is see the possibility. And then there's visioning. Visioning is seeing the end result and the things that you did to get you there. It's like seeing a roadmap and just following it to your destination. Other things that I've learned in this teaching is to know that what you focus on expands. What you continually think about comes about. This is why you have to be careful what you think about. This is why you have to stay in the present. You have to look at your possibilities and opportunities in life. You need to stay away from fear. You need to stay away from hate, discord, disharmony. You know, when you call somebody another name or you you know, you just really dread something, you don't realize what you're doing is you're asking more of that to come up in your lives. Everything happens in the now, and it can happen at any other time. When I do use spiritual tools and principles, and you can do this also, is that life for me flows easier. Choices are clearer, and wonders that I call miracles just seem to be an everyday occurrence in my life. And I want to kind of share some of the things that have happened to me. And if it hadn't have been for this teaching, I don't know where I would be right now. An example for me is when I put my house up for sale and I got my offer. We ended up going into escrow. And as we went into escrow, I was told by many people, I was told even by my son, that movers are hard to find. And the price to move was enormously increased. I moved 10 years ago and, he told me it was 5 times that. And so many people taught me that moving out of state, that finding a place is going to be really hard. It's going to be challenging. That in some cases, there would be no availability. I might not even be able to move in the city that I want to move into. I heard so many limitations from everyone around me. But I know the way it works. And what I did is I used those tools, through meditation and spiritual mind treatment and visioning and being in the now. I allowed spirit to lead and I took action needed to not only get the right movers, but it was so affordable. It was almost like it was easy to get movers. And within a short time, I had the perfect place to stay. We are right in Merville, Tennessee. It's spelled Maryville, but they call it, I guess, Merville. But it's where we wanted to be. We wanted to be close to our son who lives in Loudon. And we are centrally located near stores. And one of the things my wife wanted was, she's a jazzerciser. She's been jazzercising for almost 40 years. She loves it. But that was a must for my wife. And we're like 12 minutes from Jazzercise. We rented this townhouse with 1,300 square feet. It has 2 bedrooms and 2.5 baths. We got more than what we were looking for at a very affordable price. This is the reason why it's so important to learn the way that it works. Too often we take life for granted. We move through it on autopilot, or we just sleepwalk our way through it. And life just passes us by. I can remember on some of the trips that I've taken, I'd be driving down the road and all of a sudden it's like I kind of like wake up. I was almost felt like I was in a trance. And I'd think, how did I get this far? I don't remember driving half of it. But that's what we do in life. And when we are not present for our lives, we are missing out on life itself. You miss out on so much opportunities and possibilities. You forget to smell the flowers as you're going along, to really absorb that good, to really be present in that good. It's very sad to see people spending their whole lives waiting to start living. Learn to live in the present. Learn how this power greater than ourselves works. Use it. I'm telling you, I've had so many good things unfold in my life. Directions that I've wanted to go, things that I've wanted to purchase. I'm not kidding you. This stuff works. We have been conditioned to identify ourselves with our thoughts and their accompanying feelings and sensations. But we also have been conditioned to resist what we are experiencing, and we try to make it different than what it is. There are challenges in life, but it is our mistaken identity and our resistance to that manufactures them into problems that lead to struggle and suffering. No one needs to struggle. No one needs to suffer. What we need to do is we need to slow down. We need to be in the present. And we need to see the possibilities and opportunities. We need to flow. We need to allow. We need to hear that spirit, that voice within us. When this happens, we often try to control life and fix it and change it when we have that mistaken identity. And we don't have to do that. We are in partners with a power that is greater than we are, that knows everything, that can do, be, or have whatever it is we choose. All we do is have to make a choice. Albert Einstein said that you cannot solve the problem from the same consciousness that created it. But how many times do we try to do that? How many times do we react instantly? You have to learn to see the world anew. We must remember what that what we truly are is consciousness. We are that which is aware, that which is the observer. So rather than using our minds to control life, we can use it to become curious about life. We need to shift that control. We need to shift it to curiosity. You have to notice how when you're curious about something, you really look into it. You really see opportunities and possibilities much closer. What we have learned in my last talk about curiosity, it creates spaciousness and it opens up to greater possibilities and things that we have thought impossible, but all of a sudden suddenly become possible. Just like those people that had limited ideas about my move. I moved past that. I didn't wash into that. I didn't believe into that. What I did is I knew that these opportunities were there because people have moved before. People have rented houses before. People have moved before. And so that's what I focused on. When we change the way that we look at things, the things we look at change. And I couldn't put that better because that's exactly what happened. They were looking at it one way. I looked at it differently. Becoming curious about life transforms our experience to it. When we stop trying to fix life and instead become present for our own experience is when we come into alignment with life. It's when we find that joy. We find that excitement. So, to recap my talk this morning, I feel that in order to do, be, or have the things that we desire in life, there's no reason why you can't have them. It doesn't matter how big or how small. God does not know big or small. God just knows. So, to have the things we desire in life, it's very important to learn the way it works in order to be successful and prosperous in life. You are in control. You are the captain of your own ship. Don't give that away. Whenever we get something new in our lives, the first thing we do is to find out how it works. This is the same with this thing. To use it right and to its fullest, we must find out how it works. And we talk about how it works. What we are saying is the way that spirit works. We must remember that we are spiritual beings having human experience. It's not the other way around. We are connected. The Spirit is within each one of us. Spirit expresses through us in our thoughts and our words. And we must begin to live life consciously and not on automatic pilot. Be in the now. I used to think Spirit was, or God was up in the clouds or outside myself. But when things really started to come together in my life, and when I realized Spirit's right here, you don't have to look any further. It's right here. And the only way that Spirit can work is for us is actually through us. Spirit's not out there somewhere. We must remember is that we come to believe, what we come to believe shows up in our lives. And that's true. Because the Master Jesus, he told us, that was a key thing he told us. It is done unto you as you believe. So take an inventory of what you believe. Sit down and really think about next time when you want to attract something in your life, when you want to do something, when you want to have something, when you want to be something. Sit and think about what your beliefs are about that. And when you see negative beliefs, when you see things that are going to keep you away from that, what you need to do is use the spiritual tools. Use spiritual mind treatment. Reshape your consciousness so that way you're attracting and not repelling the thing. Well, I want to thank you for joining me on this beautiful Sunday morning, and I wish you a good rest of your day. So please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. for another Sunday morning message. It's sponsored by the Centers for Spiritual Living Carlsbad. Now, I will be speaking again in 2 weeks, where I will be talking about chapter 4 in the Science of Mind textbook. And if you want to kind of read a little bit more about it before I talk about it, do that too. I'm going to be talking about how to use it. And that should really be something. I think it's going to be a good talk. So please join me for that. Thank you.